Hello, everyone. I'm going to let everybody trickle in as we are just now going live here at Outpost 1, which we do a lot of our production here. We are live streaming now on Instagram and on Facebook, our Facebook group, and also YouTube. So Twitter will be joining us here shortly as we post the link there. But welcome, everybody, to our 11 a.m. live broadcast. We are talking about the launch of We're Alive Descendants today. I'm already getting comments from people who have already listened to the episode. I am going to do my best not to spoil everything. Please don't spoil it in the comments too. Let people. You can be ambiguous with your comments, like I'm losing my mind at that ending. Great comment, because it doesn't give away much. So please don't give away anything in the spoilers. But thank you very much for joining us here today. I'm super excited to have you here. This has been a very, very long production process. I kind of want to give you a little bit of some details of really what went into this, because this episode was written 4 years ago in about 2018. And as you may have known, we were recording in February and March of 2020 when some other infectious virus decided to take over and make things difficult for us to do. And we recorded a whole lot of the series and then had to go back and re-record a whole bunch of things. So it took a long time to get us to this point. So it's been an arduous process. So thank you, everybody, for your patience through this. I will plug potentially another thing that's going to be going on a little bit later in the broadcast, and I'll tell you about that soon. Okay, so for anybody who is seeing this broadcast and doesn't really know who we are or what we are, really quickly, I'll give you some synopsis. We are the We're Alive series. We started back in 2009. We are hitting our 13th year of streaming of our narrative podcast. That's been, it's got so many hours of content. I think over 170 episodes now, and now we're going to continue with even more. We have planned for We're Alive Descendants. This is going to be a 12-chapter season, so it's going to be broken up into smaller parts, and we're going to see exactly what happens throughout this series. Things are going to get changed that you may not be totally comfortable with, which we're already kind of getting some comments for, but ultimately, I think you're going to like this series. It's got a lot of ups and downs, new characters, new things to be unveiled as we are jumping 18 years in the future from the initial outbreak. So where can you listen to this? Well, if you don't know, Apple Podcasts is a big one. Spotify is a big one. Also, if you're listening to us on those platforms, please go there and rate us 5 stars, give us a review. All those things really help. You are able to actually leave 5-star reviews on Spotify now, so that's someplace you can do that. I really also want to give a quick shout out to Rusty Quill. Now, Rusty Quill is our executive producing partner on this, and Alex J. Newell has been instrumental in that process. So thank you very much to their entire team for being able to get us off the ground and get us going. This is a very complex production, especially during pandemic times. We have to, the process of recording has gotten much more complicated than we were able to do before. I'm still a huge proponent of getting everyone inside the room at the same time to be able to record. That way, you get that kind of chemistry and everything that's happening inside that booth, and the interaction with all the characters. And to do that, we have to test all our actors every single session beforehand. Sometimes we'll have to, do remote sessions every so often, depending on the situation, and get remote studios. And so there's a lot of very complex things that have happened especially over this last year, to be able to keep up the quality that we're doing. And we're not one of those people that likes to record over Zoom. That's not how it works. We actually have a recording booth. And if anybody subscribes to our Patreon channel, there is a whole bunch of behind-the-scenes footage and some really cool stuff that you can kind of see what exactly goes into this production. And we recently just wrapped our Season 1 principal recording, which has over 190 hours of actual recorded time. So you can imagine there is a lot coming your way in this season. And if this first chapter is any inclination, there's a lot in this. I mean, the first chapter is about an hour and a half long. That is, I mean, that right there is a feature in itself. And then we have a whole lot more to do on top of that. So our production team is working incredibly hard. I do want to give a shout out to our entire production team. That's Victoria Cheng, Gino Jang, Holly Megan Scott, Michael Keane. These are just a few of the instrumental people behind the scenes that are working on this all the time. Probably even right now as we speak, to be honest. They're working on finalizing the next chapter, which will come out. Now, just a reminder, the release schedule for this. So we release this entire chapter this week, and then next week we'll have a week off, and then chapter 2 will come a week after that. We take a week off in between chapters, but then if the chapter has multiple parts, they go week after week. So chapter 2 is actually only going to be one part. I believe it's 37 minutes long, and so that'll be a standalone chapter. And then chapter 3, I believe, is 2 parts. Which will come a week after that. There is a release schedule on our website if you're curious, and also in the details descriptions of each episode. So what can you expect from this series? Well, it is 12 chapters long. I believe in total it's about 24 individual parts. So it's going to take us fairly well into the year with more episodes that are going to come along. I also will say that season 1 is broken up into 2 major parts. We're going to have the first half of season 1 and the second half of season 1 released. Why? Because it takes a little bit of time to catch up on production. Because as you notice, if you listen to these episodes, there's a lot that goes into them. We're doing a whole bunch of Foley. We're doing a lot of footsteps walking. And the thing about audio is it's real time. And there's a lot of detail that goes into these episodes, both with the scoring, with the pickups, the editing process. It's a lot. It's a lot of details. So it's going to take some time, but we're really excited, and we think you're going to enjoy this new season of Descendants, which in plan is going to be about 3 seasons long. That's the current plan, and we'll see how it goes from there. Let's see here. So in case you are catching up on the series and you don't really know where to begin, We're Alive starts with the story of survival. It covers 4 seasons, and it follows the survivors in downtown LA. After that, we have Lockdown, which is a standalone story that covers the inmates of Twin Towers Jail. And then after that, we have We're Alive Gold Rush. And people are asking, hey, what order should I listen to this in if I'm catching up on all the episodes? Well, it's the story of survival, which is the first 4 seasons, and then Lockdown, and then Gold Rush. And do you have to listen to all of them to understand the whole story? Not exactly. You can kind of pick up wherever you want to. I will say there are a lot of details inside of Descendants that you may miss out on if you don't listen to the entire series. So be sure to catch up all of that. Alexander Balinet's art, I want to give a quick shout out to you. He is the person who is responsible for all of our amazing artwork for We're Alive Descendants, the cover art and everything. So be sure to follow them if you haven't already, who's done an amazing job on all the artwork and is continually doing more artwork for our next series, as well as a lot of the infected artwork that you'll see behind the scenes of who these things are and what they are and all the new details. Because as the infected have evolved, they look very different to what they were back in the day. So anybody also, I saw a couple of people wondering about, what about merchandise? Is there new merchandise? Yes, there is new merchandise. We're currently in the process. Our store is live today. We're updating some of the merchandise pages right now to make sure that they're all up to date. We have, I think, in total 10 new designs that are going to come out specifically for We're Alive Descendants, so you'll be able to pick up new merch, and it's actually really great. The designs are awesome. We have something that's a little bit different for everybody, and also some of the old designs are there as well that we've been doing some updates for. So, really quickly, I also want to give a quick shout out to all the cast and crew who have made this possible. We have a cast of, I think, about probably around 50 different voices. If you listen to the first chapter already, you can see a lot of the old cast has returned. We have a lot of the new cast here, and it's a lot of dedication for them they do some long hours in that booth because we try and get a lot done in a short amount of time. And we used to, back in the day when we recorded this, we would record it like every other month and then have the cast come in and record. Well, in pandemic times, when you have to test everybody every single day and you have to keep your cast as minimal as possible, we tend to stack a lot of recording in one day. So it's a very long process to get all this done. Now, what is the process? How do we make We're Alive? I mean, that's been a question that a lot of people have talked about, is how do we do this? Well, we start with a script. For those of you who are, part of the Patreon, you can actually get some of the scripts and see how it kind of translates. We take the script and record it on the day of. We actually do a lot of really advanced scheduling to try and optimize the best, recording schedule as possible to make sure people's times are taken care of. And then we'll do a full, sometimes 8-10 hour day, depending on the day. Sometimes I've gone a little longer, depending on what we have to get done. But we do all the recording, and then we have to go back and take all of the takes. We usually do about, if you're listening to a scene in full, we usually do about 3 takes, meaning that they have to do it at least 3 times to make sure they get all the beats. And sometimes it takes a little while to get warmed up. And so then we take it and we go through an assembly cut process where we're just kind of assembling everything in order. And then we go through something called a vocal cut, which then we select all the takes that we want to do. And the great thing about us in our process is we're actually able to take, pieces of each individual recording and make sure they all come together in a nice, smooth fashion. So like we'll take one performance from maybe take 1, one performance from take 2, and just kind of put them together. And then we'll do a vocal cut. After that, we do the rough cut where we're adding in all the extra sound effects. We're putting in all the motion of the story, some of the big stuff that you'll end up happening. And then we'll go through and actually do a Foley process where we'll listen to the episode and reperform a lot of the actions of the characters so that they feel grounded, that they feel like their feet actually connect with the scene. Like in Chapter 2 that's coming up for We're Alive Descendants, we make sure that there's some high intensity moments in this next chapter, so we're running along with the characters to make sure we get sort of the rhythm. When they stop, we stop. When we move around, that way everything kind of matches and it connects in a way that really expresses what it is that we're doing here. Because I consider this theater for the mind, which means that what the voices are giving you and what the sound effects give you come together and really create an experience so that you can sit there and listen and you feel like you're part of the show entirely. So that's sort of the process of us making this show. And it does take a very long time. The amount of revisions on scripting, I'd love to show you the script. I don't actually have it here, but it's about that thick for just one season. And it's, I believe, over about 700 pages of material for one season. So there's a lot that goes involved. The cast and crew really go through a lot, and it's we really are very thankful to them. But also we want to thank you for spreading the word. Those of you who have been sharing our posts, those of you who have been tagging us. I'd love to see a lot of reacts today of what you think, what's going on. Please, again, no spoilers of what's happening. All of you have actually been really good about that. I'm very, very, very grateful for us not spoiling as much as it could be out there, especially because the episode premiered this morning and a lot of stuff happened. So if you haven't been able to catch up, be sure to do that, because Descendants changes things a lot. It's gonna there's gonna be some big changes coming in the world of We're Alive. So we're excited for you to be along for the ride. All right, so let's get to this the Q&A section here. I know you have a lot of questions coming up. So I want to jump into them now. First up, we got Blake Man. What took so long? Will we be seeing Fredo? Well, we did take a very long break to recover from COVID stuff, and also to write a lot of it. I mean, we weren't able to record for a significant amount of time, so that took a while. And also, we had to kind of regroup a little bit, and fortunately got the backing of Rusty Quill to be able to finish the project, because it does get expensive. We have to pay editors, we have to pay talent, we have to, there's a lot of costs that go behind the scenes for making a series this big, and I'm big about not compromising. So I want to make sure that everything is done very, very nicely, and we kind of meet that standard. So that's what's taken a long time. Literally after 2014, after We're Alive, The Story of Survival ended, I started working on the series, outlining and working on the details of the world, because when you're building a world that goes 18 years in the future, you want to make sure that everything works out. Like, I had to run population numbers and do maps and all these types of things to really make sure the show makes sense. And there's not really any holes that could be, that don't make any sense. So all those kind of things are the reason why it took so long. Your second question, will we be seeing Fredo? I don't know. I don't want to spoil it. There's going to be a lot of recurring characters from previous seasons. So is that going to be one of them? We'll have to wait and see. There are a lot of things that are going to be callbacks. So just be aware. Why would you do this to us? Referring to the ending. Well, the thing about all of We're Alive is that these things have been planned out for a while, and things are going to happen. There's going to be good times and bad times. It'll make sense in time, and you're just going to have to tune in. I mean, this is just one of the... For those of you who have not experienced the live publication of We're Alive, it's a roller coaster. For those of you who remember the old series, there was a lot that went on that sort of you didn't know what the solution was until later on. So those of you who've been able to binge this don't really have the opportunity to look ahead. That's why we have a lot of really great opportunities for you to now theorize, and that's kind of the fun of it, is having people talk behind the scenes about what's going to happen next, who they think did certain things, and just the experience of channeling the questions and answers of the series. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, especially in this series, because there's going to be a lot of questions, especially as we go on and as more characters are introduced. You're going to be able to find out a lot of what that means. All right. Coming in from Instagram, when is there going to be a TV show or movie? Hey, whenever that happens is whenever it happens. The one thing that I'm always a big proponent of is the story the story doesn't expire. So once they're ready to move forward on a series, whether that is, whatever big publishing company wants to go there, we'll be ready for it. But for now, we just focus on the story that we're telling here, and eventually it'll happen. I'm fairly confident. It's just these things take time, and here's the other thing is you'll only get one chance to do it right. So we want to make sure that we are putting our best foot forward in all mediums, and that it's quality. But at the same time, we still have our series here that we're in fully control with. So it's kind of nice that way. Hi, Carol. Welcome, Carol. Carol's one of our cast members, along with Zhao Tan. Zhao Tan plays Nick, and Carol plays Mira, and you haven't been able to meet her yet, but she'll come up later on. Let's see. Any hope of seeing dead characters come back somehow? That doesn't really work out too well in our world. We don't really have a resurgency of characters. It doesn't really work out that way. Just because when they're dead, they're dead. Side note, 1 second. If you see any good comments in the stream deck, I can't focus on because they're going so fast. So if you want to highlight them on the sheet, then I'll get to them.
I'll put them on the sheet.
Okay, great. I am joined by Gino in the background. You may be able to see Gino on one of the live streams. Gino is handling our back end with all your questions and comments to make sure it all makes total sense, and we're able to, address everybody and their comments. So thank you for everyone sticking around as we go through this. I still have a whole bunch of Q&A to cover here, so let's keep going. When is the Datu special? Well, just so happens we have had Datu on We're Alive Archive, which is something that we have on our Patreon channel, which is essentially where we'll bring back cast and crew members to talk about their episodes, talk about their experiences. We'll listen to the episode live, and also give some behind-the-scenes details of what's going on in the series. There's been a lot that happens between the scenes that maybe you're not fully aware of, or maybe you didn't catch, or we'll sometimes pull up the maps and things like that. It's just one of those things. I do see a question here from Gotham's Finest 911. We're Alive musical when? It's funny you should mention that, because this is not something that I am totally against. Matter of fact, I have done some storyline stuff for it. It's just going to take It's going to take a lot of time. It'd be something where maybe down the road after Descendants, but it's something that I've actually written some stuff for. And the thing about it is, it wouldn't be the original cast. It's actually an original story that I've been coming up with on the side. That might be a really, fun way to close it out. Don't know if it's ever going to come to fruition, because the one thing I'm lacking is I'm not a musician. I can come up with some lyrics, I can come up with story, but the musical side of me, I can comment on music and see what doesn't work and what does. But in terms of being able to generate stuff, not so much. All right. So from JNUTT913, where is Scout's Honor? Okay, so Scout's Honor, to let you know, has actually been recorded completely. The entire series has been completed. We're most likely going to release that after season 1 of Descendants, so that we are mid-season or season break. You'll have some extra content in between, and that's a standalone story that takes place on Catalina following scouts getting off the island at the original time of the outbreak. So that's actually been recorded. It's been written, recorded. We've cast it. It's amazing. We're really excited to bring it to you. We're focusing on Descendants now. We decided Descendants was the best way to start the process, and then we'll have that last. That was the last side story that we wanted to tell, aside from Lockdown and Gold Rush. For those of you who actually went to our season 1 finale, we announced that we were going to do 3 different stories, and that's the final one. It takes a long time to get this stuff done, and that was like 500 pages long and has a full cast of kids, which was pretty complicated. But some of those cast and crew members may be in the chats right now. Well, I don't know, but it's great. You'll love it when it comes out. One of our favorite stories, actually. When does Scout's Honor take place? It takes place at the very beginning of the outbreak back in 2009. So you can experience the outbreak again, just from a different perspective on the island of Catalina. It's really fun. We actually went on Catalina and went through the physical locations of where they all go, so that way it's really accurate, and also gives a really essence for that time and place on the island. Why not just release everything at the same time is another question that we have. Well, the reason why we can't do that is because we're simultaneously producing it and releasing it at the same time. It takes a very long time. If we were to do that, it would take even longer. The process is fairly daunting, and honestly, just like a lot of TV shows, they kind of do it progressively, where we have everything kind of in the can right now, but just the post-production process takes a little bit to catch up. So that's why we don't do that. Let's see here. The release schedule, if you're curious about the release schedule is on our website. Yes, Gino? We'll make sure the release schedule's on the website. It is definitely inside of our podcast feed we put out there that has all the when everything is coming out. So be sure to take a look there. Is Frontier going to tie in? Frontier, if you're not aware, is when we did a partnership with Geek and Sundry and Legendary, and that was there's going to be no spoilers in this live session, by the way. So no one posts any of those, just as a heads up as I was coming up. So Frontier was a partnership with Geek and Sundry and Legendary. So what we did there was like a D&D show where we based it off of the Outbreak Undead engine by Ivan Van Norman, and so that was a series that we did. It was really a lot of fun. It may or may not come back. Are there tie-ins? There are some things that echo into the series. Some of the characters, I don't know if characters are going to show up, because that's a little different focus, and also that series technically didn't have an ending, but there is stuff that happened in that series that does affect this storyline. What that is, I'm not going to tell you right now. Let's see here. Why release 2 parts instead of 3? Well, actually, we're changing up the format. Back in the day, we did 3 parts per chapter, and I pretty much did that throughout the entire series. But the problem with that was I was constantly formatting to a cliffhanger, and sometimes the episodes got short, sometimes they got long. It kind of did this variable format thing, which made things difficult. I also don't like writing to cliffhangers all the time, because it's kind of difficult to do that. So this way, I didn't have to put a cliffhanger in the middle of the episode. Like chapter 2 is just 1 part, so that way it's you're able to actually listen to everything in its entirety. And it's got a better pacing that way. So some parts are going to be 3, some parts are going to be 2, some are going to be 1. It's just the story will fit the content, which is kind of the nice way if you think about it that way. Will there be a physical DVD or CD? I hate to say it, but probably not. And the reason why, because how many people have CD players anymore? When we first started this, yes, they were very popular. Now, very many people don't even have CD players in their car. So maybe we'll do a special release when it's all done, something along those lines. But it's something that we're seeing less and less of. But you never know. If a lot of people like them, we may come out with something special like that. Or what about the music? There actually is some music. We're thinking about like releasing a special pack for the music, especially with this series. There's been a lot of custom stuff made by Danny Burkhoff Hopkins. So we'll make sure that we can try and highlight that as much as possible, because there's some really good musical cues inside of this one that are really fun. How many chapters are in season 1 of Descendants? There is going to be 12. Just like all the other seasons. It was something, actually, I was toying around with just doing 10. And it just ended up being 12, because the content actually made me write longer. Just happens that way. So anybody who has just joined us, to let you know, you will be able to watch this live stream again, because it'll be on our platforms, and you can just rewatch it and, go back to where you didn't go. So you can catch up on some of the comments and the discussions. And if you have any questions at all, you can feel free to add them in the descriptions. Even if you missed the live stream, we'll try and come back later and maybe add some of the responses from our We're Alive account, or I might just jump in. I've been monitoring all the comments today, seeing how people their reactions to what's been happening inside the story, and it's been a lot of fun for me, especially to be able to see everyone enjoy this stuff for the first time in a long time, because we've been working on this. Specifically, this chapter was written 4 years ago, so it's finally come to fruition, and I finally get to see people's reactions of decisions I made a very long time ago. Do you want We're Alive on vinyl? Why would anybody want this on vinyl? Vinyl is like mono and have pops and hisses, and it would add its own sound design. So maybe we might do some special edition of one, but can you imagine how many vinyl discs that would be? It'd be a lot. Neil asks, are you still working on Bronzeville? Well, we did season 2 of Bronzeville. For those of you who are not aware, Bronzeville was another fictional audio series that we produced with Cinema Gypsy and Tapeman Entertainment. I don't know if it's going to have another season. I didn't, season 2 kind of came along and when it did. So who knows? Maybe we'll have a third one. Maybe. I would say definitely, if you are a fan of the show, to follow them on social media and comment and say, hey, you're going to do another season. All those little extra bits, feedback to the production. We'll let them know you want more. Okay, so keeping on going. So John Wilson wants to know, would you be able to come to the East Coast for a get-together? I'd love to. Maybe as things start to calm down and we have other stuff going on, we can do another East Coast get-together. I was out there a little bit before 2020 when everything decided to go crazy. So who knows? Maybe we can do another one again, especially if there's any sort of like podcast events that kind of can orchestrate around. That'd be fun. It is a little hard to get the cast and crew sometimes around because it's costly to do those sorts of things. Xera asked, or Zera, that's Xera, asks, any plans on other audio dramas after We're Alive, Descendants, and Scout's Honor? Sadly for the We're Alive series, this is probably going to be the last iterations, is Descendants, which will be multiple seasons, but then at the Scout's Honor also will probably be the last ones that we do. I'll probably end up doing more audio fiction storytelling in the future for different stories. Like before We're Alive Descendants came out, we did one that's on Audible called The Division Hearts on Fire, which was a partnership with Ubisoft. And we also did one called Motel Evil, which was an original. I wrote both of those. So if you're curious, there are some little bits of extra entertainment on Audible if you want to go check those out. They're all on our website at waylandproductions.com, which is all of our other productions, if you're curious. We also did one called Verdict, which is a really interesting true crime sort of fictional take that we produced and released earlier this year. Yes, I know people would be disappointed that we won't make any more We're Alive after this, but we still have a total of 3 seasons to get through with Descendants and then also Scout's Honor. So And who knows, maybe that musical will come up as well. But I will say, though, that just like the original series had a definite ending, so does this. And I don't want to keep going on forever doing this with a story that, may be limited in how long it should be going. Gay Frida and Dorian Big Doe Clark asks for comic book. Potentially, we could do that in the future. My focus is audio drama and audio entertainment because that's sort of my specialty. But there could be a comic book option. I mean, that's one of those areas. I mean, I hate to say the WD folks, but they kind of have that market where they do a lot of it. And also, I'm not a big fan of blood, guts, and gore. And so, as weirdly enough, as we make a zombie series, when you're like, he's not a fan of gore, and it's like, well, when you can't see it, it's a little different. It's more in the imagination. So if you imagine it gorier than it is, then that's on you. Let's see here. What else we got? Valmir asks, any stories about the families? Well, that might be a topic of Descendants. Is there another side story that we're writing about it? Yes. It's actually a book. That's been worked on. It's been working on for a while. It can't come out before Descendants, so it'll spoil some things. So we're gonna wait. We're gonna wait on that one's release, but it's currently being worked on right now. Christopher asks, will there be another life or death type chapter? Need to get those tissues ready. Well, you're referring to chapter 44. I'm not going to say. Potentially, yes. Because the story has a lot of ups and downs. There's a lot of good things and a lot of bad things that happen. It's just how it goes. That's the story of We're Alive. Let's see here. Andrew is asking a supercut of all episodes, commercial free. We haven't really decided to do anything like that because it's kind of hard to do. We did do a featurette, though, that got released today. If you haven't listened to it, and you're thinking it's just a recap, I would check it out. It's really cool. It was edited by Tim Mulhern, which is one of our amazing editors who did a lot of the trailers and previews and stuff. He put together this really great featurette, which goes into the details of the world of We're Alive and some of the background and what's going on in all the world right now. So I'd say check it out. It's really fun. We're not really probably going to do another supercut one. There are some recaps that are inside of our feed for previous seasons, so be sure to check those out if you haven't already. Let's see here. Kai asks, are you going to do a UK tour? Potentially. We have talked, especially since our partners, Rusty Quill, are located in the UK. We have talked about coming over there and doing another event because we were there at Pod UK back in February of 2020. And that's where we actually developed a relationship with Rusty Quill. So we might be coming back. It might be a limited. I don't know if we're going to bring anyone more in the cast and crew. It might just be myself and possibly my wife Blair, who plays Lizzie. Yeah, we'll have to see. But I'd love to do it. I'd love to go back over there and spend a little bit more time. Soren asks, which season of the original season is your favorite or favorite arc? Oh, okay, we're going deep here. I would say I am a big fan of the third season because it really changes things up a lot and goes in places that we didn't get to explore before, and does gets to some of the real big arcs that I like. And honestly, some people may not be totally for this, but I do like the Kalani arc reveal of that. It was one of these things where I had planned out a very long time all the way from season 1 to season 3, and I got to reveal everything that happens, which was pretty cool. That was something that I was excited for, and I think when it all came together, I was like, this is awesome. Armin asks, is there a Burt prequel? Well, funny thing is, yes, there is. Is it going to be released? I don't think so, or no at this point. It was something that we actually kind of did some work on, and I did some development on, but it just didn't work out very well. I didn't really like how it came together, so I kind of discontinued it. It's one of these things. There's a lot of ideas that we have, but if they don't actually have a lot of, if they're not well-rounded and have a lot of content, I'm kind of like, let's focus on the stories that are the most important. How do you make the zombie voices? Oh boy. Well, if you go to our Patreon, there is a video of this. Gino can attest. There was a lot of pieces that we do for that. We sometimes pull in the cast and crew to do voices. I do a lot of them as well. They're sometimes complicated. It's like you kind of like intake versus outtake of air. And if for the behemoths, the big ones, you'd get like a tub underneath and kind of like kind of go down into it and do get a little bit extra bass in there. It's a little tricky, and honestly, for Descendants, we have so many new like subspecies of infected that are appearing in the series that we had to do something really special for those, and so we had to sound design a lot of those. And Michael Keane did that. You'll hear some of it today in today's chapter. So some very special new ones that are special in the series. Let's see here. Any other stories unrelated to We're Alive in the works? As of right now, there are some. I have a Western that I've been working on for a while that's really amazing. That's an adaptation of a book. Is it coming out anytime soon? It's got some delays, so we'll see what happens. I've been working on that for a while, and it's gotten close to the starting point and changed up a little bit, but I'm confident it'll get made eventually. It's an amazing story, if and when we ever get to tell it. Who is your favorite character? People give me slack for this, but I'm always a big fan of CJ. Just one of those characters. If I ever had a daughter, I was going to name her CJ. That was like one of the origins of the name. Is she was going to be Casey Jr., but I had a son instead, so he's named August. August Nicholas Wayland, if anybody's wondering. Alex is here, by the way. Alex is in the chat. Austin Trace, who plays Alex. You got to hear a little bit of him today. Spoiler alert, you will hear a little bit more of him later as the story unfolds. Okay, let's see. What do we got here? I think that's pretty much... if anybody's got any more questions, get them in now, because we are going to be wrapping things up here in just a second. So be sure to get those extra things in. Just some extra little things to tell you about. Again, if you aren't part of our Patreon team or page... try and make sure if you want to see more, feel free, join our community. It's really a fun thing. We have a lot of extra content on there and does help support the show directly. We are, as merchandise is going up on the shop, so check out our website. Some of it is actually getting updated today, so there might be a little bit of some lag on some of those things as they're all going live today. And also, one extra cool thing that we're doing is we are working on a We're Alive card deck. It's something that sort of has been on our drawing board for a while, and we're finally moving forward with some of the pieces for that. So look out for the future. All right, so get those last questions in. Gino's going to highlight some of them as we go through. Very quickly, I wanted to give a big shout out to everybody who put work into this release here. We're super excited to be back. It's been a long time, and we're excited to have you all again for this ride. And for those of you who are like, oh, hey, I want to binge this after it's all done, I will say, though, that if you listen along with us and contribute to the community and talk about the episodes with us, it does help the show. It does. And it helps us chart. It helps us get appearances to make sure that people can see the show. Feel free to share it with anybody that might enjoy it, because all these things end up helping us be able to keep the story going further. And it goes back into the show in a big way. All right, so some of those last minute questions here. Will we see the jumpers again? We'll see a lot of subspecies of infected. Will it be the jumpers? I don't know about that one, but we will have some other ones that they're more evolved than that now. We're Alive video game potential. We could do that in the future. I'd love to do it. A survival story with resource management and everything would be a lot of fun. That'd be a really fun way to do this. For those of you who are joining us a little late, that's okay. You can still rewind and watch the whole broadcast as it'll be up today. So don't worry, you didn't miss anything. You'll be able to rewind and watch it all. And you also have a lot to catch up on the series. The entire show is an hour and a half today on the release. We're Alive RPG. We have talked about doing that. We were thinking about doing a release pack with Outbreak Undead to kind of give you some more We're Alive content in sort of a D&D fashion. We did have We're Alive Frontier. If you are looking for a really cool RPG out there, it was fun. It was a really good series. Hopefully we'll be able to do more. Why 17 or 18 years? Was that planned from the beginning? Kind of was, because the next generation of survivors are now they've grown up inside this world, and I wanted to kind of jump in at a point where we can experience their stories and their perspective, because this has been their entire lives, and now we get to see exactly how that portrayed, and how they get to survive in this world after everything that's happened, and what has changed both in the small term and in the large term. So yeah. So I think that's good for us. I know we have some extra questions there. If you want to throw them in the chat, feel free. We'll try and jump in there and answer them on the fly. I will say thank you all for joining us. This has been a great way of being able to reach all of you here. Hopefully we'll be doing some more live streams along the road. And thank you again for all your support. Remember, hit that 5-star button. Really get out there, spread the word if you have anybody who might be interested in listening. There are theory threads. If you're not part of our We're Alive Facebook We're Alive Facebook fan page, there's a whole bunch of people there already talking about the series. We have that special page over there for the fans who really want to talk about the series, and the other page is a little harder to do with spoilers and stuff, so we kind of have it over there. We also have a Reddit. I've been talking for a while. Sorry about that. We have a Reddit page as well. r/We're Alive. So there's a lot of discussion going on over there right now. And we still have our old forum is still active. So if you want to take a look at those. So thank you, everybody. Again, if you have any last minute questions, feel free to throw them in the comments. We'll try and tackle them offline later. Thank you again for everyone for joining this broadcast. It's been really fun. And there is one last question I will answer. Jacoby 8346 asked, what's the best way to listen? I still think speakers, really nice speakers, work well, or really nice headsets. There is so much sound design inside the series that if you're listening with one ear while on a noisy subway, you're gonna miss some pieces, because there's a lot of really fun details inside there. So I definitely say you want to listen in a really good environment with all this stuff. One last thing also is we do have a Discord page as well. You can find all those links on our website, and so you can have even more ways to discuss with the fans. So as it is, thank you all very much. We're going to get back to work here on the next chapters here. Be sure to hit that 5-star like again, write reviews. We're so glad to have you with us. Thank you again for this amazing journey, and we look forward to having even more conversations with you in the future. Enjoy the entire series. This season's going to be a roller coaster ride. You just barely started. So cheers, everybody.